Hello, comrades and peers. Today is the last update on this campaign. After 13 months and 10 days of simulation, the Austrians move from offense to defense. This means that the invasion of Bavaria has effectively failed, which corresponds to the historical result. In the coming minutes, you will get an overview of the events of the last day, April 26, 1809. And then an assessment from my perspective, as well as an outlook on what could result from it. As always, discussion is welcome. After the meeting at Archduke Charles' headquarters in Ampfing, orders were quickly given to secure and demolish the bridges over the Isen. The first columns of Austrian soldiers began to march off towards Mühldorf. At around 11 a.m., French contingents were sighted on the northern bank of the river. The French took up position there and sent patrols to find a suitable, less defended river crossing. Marshal Massena's 4th Corps needs until about 4 p.m. to be present in full strength. In addition, the soldiers were still exhausted from the previous day of fighting. The Marshal therefore reported to Napoleon and prepared a crossing for the next day. Meanwhile, the Austrians marched towards Mühldorf. Shortly before 2 p.m., the lead elements of the 4th Rosenberg Corps reached the city and secured the crossing over the Inn. But the last columns of the corps were still in Ampfing, where they had just been relieved by Hiller's corps. It would take until late in the night for both corps to leave Ampfing. Large parts of Hiller's corps were forced to march through part of the night, and some provision wagons were lost in the darkness. But because the enemy remained calm, the retreat maneuver was successful. In the evening, at the Archduke's new headquarters in Mühldorf, the situation could be better assessed. The remnants of the 3rd and 5th Corps had reached Neuötting and were only harassed by light cavalry as far as the Inn. Archduke Ludwig's troops secured the river crossing, while the rest moved towards Burghausen, back to Austria. So much for the end of the campaign. It was nice to be able to try out Le Vol d'Aiglé under these conditions. Thank you for that. To quote the rulebook, the rules represented here are suited for a game of a few days, from the opening moves to the event. In the 3 campaigns included here, the fate of the enemy was sealed after a few days. That was fully achieved here. 10-day campaign with 2 major battles, possibly 3, everything the rules promised. There was a lot of bookkeeping, but thanks to Excel and Google Maps, some things could be processed quite easily. I was also able to learn a lot about Bavarian geography. The fact that the players didn't win saddens me a bit. Some decisions were quite unexpected, I have to admit. The French cautious approach paid off. With each video, the commands for the next movements were already clear. But if it were to happen again, I would prefer to retreat to the umpire role. Will there be another campaign? And will it be Le Vol d'Aiglé again? That also depends on you and your response. The game worked well, but also showed the limitations of YouTube. I also follow the campaigns of other YouTubers and see similar things there. I will probably supplement a campaign of this type via a second medium, for example Discord, in order to maintain 2 separate groups of players. An alternative could be completely scripted, somewhat more static opponent that needs to be defeated. Le Vol d'Aigle also has a few higher levels of expansion as a campaign system, which I would also like to test at some point. The defense of Austria could be directly linked to this campaign, and then come to a kind of regular. Finally, some statistics for everyone who has made it this far. 205,000 soldiers started into this campaign in Bavaria. After 10 days, it has a strength remaining of 160,000 soldiers. 16,000 men were injured or killed in direct combat operations. The rest of 45,000 are the deserters, stragglers, losses due to illness and exhaustion. The French started with 138,000 soldiers, most of this outside Bavaria. 118,000 were still under arms at the end, with 9,000 injured or killed in direct combat operations. So lost 11,000 men through other means. Austria held the numerical superiority in the field the entire time. The slightly higher combat losses, therefore, do not affect them as much. Defending Austria could be really interesting. Till then.